I feel such conflicted emotion right now because I think James Gunn is absolutely amazing. Guardians of the Galaxy is fantastic. I loved part one. I loved part two. I was really upset when he got fired because I wanted to see part three. And we didn't know what was going to happen with it. But the reason I'm conflicted is because we're seeing here an amazing double standard. James Gunn posted a bunch of extremely offensive jokes, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that he should have been fired in the first place. We'll get to that because apparently he wasn't. But that the fact that people would say, you know what, he should be fired. Dude made jokes 10 years ago, man. Come on, come on. Kevin Hart shouldn't have lost the Oscars. Cenk Uygur shouldn't have been forced to step down from Justice Democrats. People should stop digging into the past to destroy people. Now, I will say this. Mike Cernovich dug up these posts from James Gunn, presumably to make a point. I think when you look at a lot of what Cernovich does, he's trying to sort of fight fire with fire. Maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but throw things back in the face of activists on the left who do the same thing. Right now, Tucker Carlson is losing sponsors. The left is gloating. Media Matters for America dug up old comments that he made publicly, and they're trying to get him fired. I think it's rather silly to have a bunch of left-wing activists make the hashtag fire Tucker Carlson because as if Fox News would actually fire their conservative pundit because left-wing activists are demanding they do. You don't watch Fox News. They don't care about you. But some funny things happen. They're still calling for his job, but James Gunn got his job back. And here's what's crazy. Apparently, he never got fired. So, first, I'll just go over really quickly what the official news is and then what the actual news is. Disney has reinstated James Gunn as the director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, reversing a decision to drop the filmmaker. Deadline was first to report the news, and Polygon has since confirmed the director's return to the movie with Gunn's representatives. They say that he was fired after a series of offensive and controversial tweets were resurfaced and publicized by far-right internet trolls as part of a campaign to discredit the director. I think it's hilarious they refer to certain people as far right because Mike Cernovich he's like advocated for single payer healthcare. I don't know what you'd call him, anti-establishment, right? I don't know, but I don't know what far right means, right? Because far right economically refers to free market capitalism and culturally it refers to traditional values. Pretty sure Cernovich isn't that guy. I don't know. You don't have to like him. I'm not saying he's I'm not saying he's a good dude and he's not, there are things to criticize him for, but it's the way they describe people just doesn't really make sense. And calling it trolling actually, I think what Cernovich was doing was in fact trolling. Trolling at its purest form is trying to elicit emotion out of someone, trying to trigger them. I don't think Cernovich actually cares that James Gunn makes these tweets, but he was playing the game, I think, in response to the left playing the game. Here's the thing. James Gunn apparently was never really fired, and I have this story from The Week. Disney reportedly never actually looked at another Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 director. The double standard is so insanely thick, you can tell this is all politics. It's all about power. It's a bunch of lying individuals on one side who are weaponizing outrage to gain power, over and over again. The president of Media Matters for America made extremely offensive, racist, bigoted, anti-Semitic, transphobic jokes. Where's the outrage? Doesn't exist. Of course, Tucker Carlson highlights this on his show, and you get a bunch of them on the right saying, oh, I knew it, but what's the point? It's not going to work on the left because the institutions on the left don't care that Media Matters for America did this. It's a really, really weird phenomenon that it works this way. Well, James Gunn did get in trouble for his comments, and everyone was kind of shocked. How is it, these right-wing, when right-wingers do it, no one cares. Nobody's, where's the outrage against Media Matters? Nope. They had him on TV, the president, Angela Corson, or whatever his name is, and they were like, oh, we get it. It's defensible. Really? Tucker Carlson, though, fire him. Well, here's the thing. Let's read this, because apparently they never fired him at all. James Gunn is back as director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it sounds like Disney never seriously explored a replacement. It would seem, if you were to ask me, that what happened was they said, James, we got to fire you because of these tweets. But we're not actually going to fire you. Once everything blows over, you'll be back on. Gunn, who was fired from the Marvel superhero sequel last summer, when old tweets of his joking about really awful things were resurfaced on Friday, confirmed reports that he had been rehired for the project. Volume 3 was originally expected to be released in 2020, but pre-production was put on hold last August after Gunn's firing. Reports suggested that Disney was launching a search for his replacement so the movie could go forward, with The Hollywood Reporter writing that the studio was taking a measured approach in their search for a director. Rumors swirled for months about who was being considered, and Vice Director Adam McKay suggested in an interview that he had discussed possibly taking over the project. People were also talking about Taika Waititi, and that would have been great because Taika's great. But James Gunn did a fantastic job on Guardians 1 and 2. But The Hollywood Reporter now reports that what almost no one knew until today was that Marvel and Disney had actually never undertaken a search for another director at all, and in fact had gone back to Gunn and made a deal in secret. Deadline similarly reports a decision to bring back Gunn was made months ago, and that Marvel never met with or considered any other director. Why would they? It's a $1 billion franchise. More than that. I think the movies have brought in over $1 billion. Guardians is awesome. Why get rid of the guy who made that magic and made you rich? So it seems like to satiate the mob, and you know what? I'm going to say this. Look, I get it. It's a double standard. But bravo, Marvel and Disney. Absolutely bravo. First of all, you shouldn't have fired Gunn in the first place because of outrage culture, cancel culture. But the fact that they never actually did, like it was a PR stunt, I say bravo. Resist the mobs. Do not apologize. In this instance, the outrage was coming from... There's a lot of people on the right who are outraged at what James Gunn said. I don't care. I don't care if he was offensive 10 years ago. Right? At a certain point, all you can say is, I'm sorry, and I accept it. And I don't even know what the cutoff limit should be. Right? James Gunn made some stupid jokes. Even if he made them last week and he came out and apologized, I'd be like, all right, let's move on. You look at Roseanne, who said some really dumb things, and she's gone. Outright, just axed. She said one thing. Admittedly, she said it, you know, in recent history. So the strength of it is much more pronounced than something from 10 years ago. But James Gunn, numerous, over and over again. Where's the standards here? There are none. It's a machine that supports their tribe, and you know, when I talk to people and say that the left holds the cultural power, and right now the right holds the governmental and institutional power, and not even absolutely, they don't believe it, right? I talk about how when politics comes later, the reason why, in my opinion, we see generation after generation move to the left is because our cultural institutions are controlled by left-wing voices. That's starting to, I don't know if it's changing necessarily, but I think they've gone so far off the deep end that people are kind of pulling back. We can see Generation Z is reversing the trend for the first time in like 100 years. But the issue is, your politics don't matter. It doesn't matter who's in control of politics for the most part. Obviously, they're the ones you want to stop. That's the last, you know, the last line is the politician who's going to actually enact policy. But the policy of these people is influenced by our culture and our movies, our schools. It is all very, very far left. Here's the thing. I actually don't mind that to a certain extent. There was a period where when I was growing up, I was like, hey, that's really cool that the universities are teaching progressive values, until they all went insane. And when I say went insane, it's advocating for violence, advocating for censorship. The left has betrayed its own principles. And I want to clarify too, when I say the left, I'm not talking about every single individual who identifies as left of center. I'm talking about the people who have weaseled their way into the left, taken over, and are dictating policy, who are telling the Democrats what they should and shouldn't support when most people don't care for it. Anyway, the point is, what I want to bring up with this, Tucker Carlson gets annihilated nonstop, okay? You do a Google search right now for Tucker Carlson, all hit pieces across the board endlessly. There's one piece from the Post, like yesterday, where they said what Tucker Carlson lied about tonight. It's something like that, I don't know. And I saw that headline and I'm like, wait, hold on. Why is Washington Post essentially writing a Media Matters headline? Media Matters is an activist organization, we get it. Why is Washington Post doing this? Why? Because media, our cultural institutions, are dominated by the left. And something interesting has happened. The way I described it is, I was recently talking with a journalist and I said, imagine you have this circle that's like American culture. The left is slowly spinning around themselves, right? It's like a whirlpool where all these left-wing journalists, writers, and personalities are spinning around each other faster and faster. And as they spin faster, like the rhetoric increases, they become more extreme, they no longer believe in biological sex, they start ejecting people from the left. And now it's this really tight-knit group of weird conspiracy theorists, ethno-socialists, and they've lost their mind. You look at Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal. It's hardcore ethno-socialism, right? You've got a second page that talks about bringing equity, fairness, and I'm talking about equality, literally pay equity between races. The bill was not about saving the environment. It was a mix of environmentalism and ethno-socialism. It's the weirdest fringe authoritarian nonsense. Nobody liked it. They like to use these statistics to claim that they're the majority, but it's the way they frame these questions. So anyway, I'll get back on point and we'll wrap up here. James Gunn was never fired. James Gunn said ridiculously offensive things, and people are cheering. They're happy that he's back. Andrew Yang tweeted about it, saying, glad to see him back. And then Jack Posobiec responded, now do Roseanne. They canceled a wildly popular show because Roseanne said a really awful thing. Shouldn't she just apologize? Shouldn't it be a learning moment? Shouldn't they have her go on TV and say, it was wrong for me to do this? And they don't want learning moments. They don't want change. They want power. They're obsessed with power. And that's the most dangerous type of person to gain power. The old trope is the emperor who didn't want to be emperor, the philosopher king. When the person, it's a common trope in a lot of stories about like the good leader who says, I don't want to be king, and they go, and that's why you must be. And that's the thing. People who want to be in politics, they want the power. They want to be in politics. Unfortunately, people who don't want the power, who would probably do a better job, don't want the power, so they don't take it. And there's the problem. You then end up with this weird group that think they don't want the power, but they should do it because no one else will. And that's just more dangerous rhetoric. It's justifying why they want to take power and do these things. Ultimately, I'm not surprised, and I don't think this is going to change. Maybe though. I think how insane things are getting with like firing James Gunn is waking up regular people to how crazy everything is. But of course, the firing of James Gunn was weaponized by the left against the right because it was the right that did it. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Stick around. I got one more video coming up. I've got another video coming up on my main channel. It's a different channel called youtube.com/Timcast. This is Timcast News. Don't ask me why YouTube did it that way. They just did. That'll be at 4 p.m., and I will see you then.